chat family. How are you doing? This is the Marlene Saunders Show where we have real talk, real conversations, and you're welcome to it. So, chat family, this is Friday, and we have been talking about all week the topic of bullying. We've talked about family bullying. We've talked about workplace bullying, friend bullying, social media, cyberbullying. And today we're going to wrap it up by talking about school bullying. And this is a very sensitive topic for many people, but bullying definitely does exist, especially in schools. And so many kids are being bullied on a regular basis, and it's not a good thing. And kids need support, they need to have a safe space for them to tell what's happening, because in the school sometimes there's not support for the children, for the kids. And it's not just little kids, also middle school, high school, college, any schooling, there is bullying. And it's an awful thing to happen, and nobody should have to deal with it, especially those who have special needs, those who are just different. And when I say different, we all know what some of those differences are. And kids can be very, very tough, very mean-spirited, and make the lives of other kids miserable that they don't like for whatever reason. People make a choice to bully somebody and show up with that mean girl or mean boy energy and really target other kids. And it's sad that it happens, but it really has a lot to do with what's going on in the home. And if there's issues in the home, those kids will bring it right on into the school system and bother other kids. But what can we do? That's where the empowerment is we can do something about it. That bullying is not okay, it's not acceptable, but kids have to be able to have safe spaces that they can go to talk about what they're dealing with. They should be able to go to a counselor, their parents, or other trusted adults and share what's going on. But there's a lot of things that happen in school that is not good. Sometimes that bullying that happens in school is not always by other children. Some kids are bullied by the teachers, they're bullied by other adults in the school system. So we have to think about that too. Bullies aren't always your peers. Bullies can also be the teachers or support staff at the school. We have to be very mindful of children because they're very impressionable. They're at the age where they're trying to find out who they are and what they want to do, and they may have things going on at home. School should be a safe space for kids to be able to learn and grow and develop and to find out who they want to be as they get older. What kind of fields do they want to get into when they get to the age of working? That's what school is supposed to be about. But really, school has changed into being a space where kids are scared to go to school. And I remember when I was in grade school, and there was a few kids that made my school experience very miserable. Hey, Sirius, how are you doing? Welcome in. Happy Friday. There was a lot of kids that made my school experience absolutely miserable. And it's because I was that child that was painfully shy, and I didn't want people to bother me, so I didn't say anything. I would just allow them to say things about me and laugh at me, and I would cry all the time. I was so sad until I finally found a counselor that I could talk to about my bullying. It didn't improve until that time. So if you or anybody who's watching it, whether you're a parent, you're a teacher, you're an actual child in the school system, we all can become empowered to stand up against bullying. It takes more than just the child saying, I've been bullied. There has to be consequences for the person who is doing the bullying, and also for us to listen, really listen to kids when they have something to say. Yes, my day is going great. Serious. Thank you so much. And one thing that I had to learn as an adult to really listen to kids, especially if that's what you do for your work, if you're around children, you're in the school system, to make sure that you are a good role model, that you're making it feel like the kids can be safe with you and they can talk to you. But you have to build that sort of rapport with children. They have to feel safe with you, that you're going to listen to them, and all of those things has to be built over time. But back to talking about school bullying, what are some of the things that children get bullied for? Sometimes for a speech impediment, or a physical impediment, like some sort of disability, um, maybe having mental illness, because yes, kids do have disabilities and illnesses and things like that. And other kids just don't understand. So that's something that I feel like more parents need to spread awareness about their children, and to go to the school. Make sure you're going to the school, checking in on how are they being treated. If you see the kids' grades slipping, it's not always that they're not applying themselves with schoolwork. It's that, what could something be going on in school, or something be going on that they're being targeted in another way? Parents, other adults, you have to see something is off. Even teachers and support staff in the school system, we have to see when something is not right and speak up. We have to protect the kids, because so often that these kids don't have a safe space to go, and they wind up taking their lives. And that breaks my heart in a million pieces, knowing that a kid wants to take their life because people are making fun of them and laughing at them, and making them embarrassed. You never know what kids are going through. You may think you know what kids are going through, especially your kids, but if you are not stopping by the school, if you're not checking their backpack, if you're not talking to them, they're not going to open up and just tell you. You have to pry, you have to ask questions, and also you have to make sure that what's their body language. Do they seem very reserved, or are they acting the same way? Are they also becoming angry and a little bit reserved, staying to themselves, isolating themselves? These are signs that there's some problems. And it's not just that the kid has an attitude. Adults, parents, and anybody around children, if you know how a child normally acts and you see them outside of their character, we need to be asking questions. Is everything okay? And these are the times where you build that by talking to them. Maybe in the evening after they relax and they've had their bath, and maybe you're reading them a story, and you ask them, "Is there anything you want to talk about tonight?" Building that over time, a child will feel like, you know what, there is something that I want to say. And it shouldn't be that you go down their throat. Like, you don't just attack them and say, oh, what, you should have told me, and things like that. Because if you do not make a kid feel safe to talk to you, they're most definitely not going to ever talk to you ever again. So we need to make there be safe spaces for children. If it's not with us, it should be with a counselor or other trusted adults. Because, like I said, it's not always just other kids. It could be the teachers. What if they're being bullied by a teacher or a counselor or someone who works at the school? It could be maybe the bus driver is doing something that they don't like. But bullying comes in many forms. But we want our kids to have wonderful childhood school experiences and for them to be able to go to school, get their education, feel like they can learn and grow and be their best self and be happy. And if it's not happening, we need to find out what is going on and get to the bottom of it. Hey, Delvin, how are you doing? Welcome in. But we really do. We have to get to the bottom of it and find out. But parents have to ask those important questions. Like I said, stop by. Check out the teachers. If you don't like your child's teachers, they don't have to keep that teacher. You can say, I want this child moved to another classroom. You got to be an advocate for your kids. You got to speak up. You got to ask questions. You have to also find out who are their friends. Are their friends the one that's bullying them? You got to ask some questions. You got to see how things really are, not just assume everything is okay because they say everything is okay. So, oh yeah, I'm doing great, Delvin. Thank you so much for asking. But we have to have these conversations and talk about bullying. We've talked about bullying all week, and why it's important to talk about bullying in the school system, because we don't want to see our kids being a statistic. And also, we don't want to see the kids act out by, personally attacking, assaulting other children. We also don't want to see them doing something to bring self harm to themselves. And that can happen very easily right under your nose. And it doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean you're a bad guardian or a bad grandparent or aunt or uncle or whoever. If you see something going on with kids and they're acting different, their grades are slipping, they're not really talking, they're not laughing a lot, they seem pretty sad, it's our job to ask the questions with tact, with kindness and compassion. Think about their feelings. Think about how you felt. I know how I felt when I was younger and I was bullied, and I didn't really have anybody to swoop in and to rescue me because there were no safe spaces. There weren't go to your counselor or talk to mom or dad or auntie or uncle or grandpa or whoever that you can trust. But the most important thing is making kids feel that they don't have to allow the bullying. Even if they make fun of them, even if they say, if you say something, I'm going to bring more harm to you and your family. You have to make your kids understand that whatever is going on, I will take care of it. Kids need that safe space. And if we don't create safe spaces for them, problems will happen down the line. Anger issues, maybe some self harm, picking up some vices. Honestly, uh, children are never too young. They can, to cope with the stress. I've heard of children developing bad habits like starting to smoke, drinking, taking substances that they shouldn't, you know, to cope with stress. But in the but if they just had somebody to talk, somebody to protect them, somebody to say this is wrong, no, you're not going to take it, even if it means that you may have to take your child out of that school if that bullying doesn't stop. Will you be that sort of parent, guardian, or loved one to say no? Just because maybe you may talk to a child or that kid may get into trouble, go to the principal's office or a counselor, it doesn't mean the kid has stopped it. They actually may increase in the bullying, But are you going to follow up and see, did the bullying stop? Was it prevented? Has it slowed down or whatever? And if it hasn't, will you protect your child enough to take them out of that school, put them in another school where they can feel happy and safe and supported? You know, growing up as a child, kids go through so much. They already have an identity crisis and trying to grow up and find out who they are and being in tune with their bodies and it changing, much less dealing with other kids, making fun of them and laughing at them, and for them to feel like they're weird or something like that. You also have to pour into your children and tell them that they're loved and it's okay to be yourself. But you got to instill that confidence in your children that you're going to, people may not like you. It doesn't mean you're strange. It doesn't mean you're weird. You have to teach your kids that and give them those skills to love themselves, even if other people don't. You know, kids will say mean things, but how do you feel about yourself? Do you love yourself? Pouring that confidence, that love, that ability to say, I am enough. It never can start too young. Teaching, giving them coping skills, life hacks, life tips, and how to deal with when they're being attacked. This is the things that change them from being good members of society. Positive members of society are those that throw a fit and may, when they get to be adults, become bullies themselves. So these are the conversations that matter. You've tuned into the Marlene Saunders Show, where we have real talk, real conversations, and you're welcome to it. Thank you so much for tuning in this week for this series on bullying. If you've missed any of the 5-part series, I'm going to put this in a playlist so you can check out the parts about family bullying, cyber bullying, workplace bullying, friendship bullying, because bullying in any relationship, any place, it's not okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel, turn on your notifications, and if you are listening in the replay, make sure that you leave me a comment. Have you ever been bullied? And how did you deal with it? I really appreciate you guys. And make sure you check out my mods in blue, Sirius as a Virgo from Georgia, and Delvin. Thank you guys so much. Everybody have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend ahead. And I'll see you guys on the next one.